Welcome back to Creative CEO. I'm really excited for this episode because this is my first ever interview. I am interviewing Martha Lilly, who is a photographer specializing in equine photography. Martha and I had such a great conversation about what it took for her to run her own photography business from a very early age. I'm going to get straight into the episode with Martha, and I hope you enjoy. Martha, thank you so much for joining me. This is my first interview, so I'm very excited. We met, I think it was the National Equine Show a couple of years ago. Was that when we first met?
Yeah.
And then we just connected on Instagram and then had a chat at the most recent one. And you did such a good job at the National Equine Show, didn't you?
Oh, thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
I briefly chatted to you the first year because I just was loving like you had all your homewares that year,
Yeah.
and I was just like totally drawn in, and I was just like it's just so nice seeing nice stands and like other creatives. And then you'd been putting out some great reels and stuff. Again, as a creative, I was like, love this. And it's could be quite difficult to constantly think of like innovative ideas, especially for socials. And I was like, I just love what you're doing. And I feel like it was just good to chat, and because we can relate but not too closely, that we like have different things. So yeah, we chatted a bit more at National Equine Show just gone. It was really good.
No, it was really good. It's nice that we've got like similar businesses, but they are also different, which is why I really wanted to get you on to get like a perspective of a creative business that's not fine art like me and have someone else's view. Let's start with, how did you first get into photography?
I It sounds cliche, but I literally feel like I've always had a camera. There's even videos of me like 2 years old with my camera, like all that kind of thing. And do you remember Bebo?
Yes, I do.
So me and my friends used to do like photo shoots for a new profile picture.
Oh,
That's how
wow.
sad we were.
Yeah.
So we would go like on walks and things, and then we would do some with the horses. And we used to make videos for YouTube, not like the vloggers, but like to music and that kind of thing. So I was always very creative. And then being on a livery yard, I think it just became like a natural progression. And I was like, people would say, what do you want to do? And I'd be like, I want to be a horse portrait photographer. But I was charging £30. So mum was like, I'm not sure this is like a career, Martha. So I started doing like event photography. I was one of those annoying people that was stood at a fence photographing, not realizing that it was peeing off the event photographer. I was just having a nice day out. There was a fun road up my yard and I was photographing the hedge. Ended up getting a job out of it, so that was great. And then they eventually retired, and then they pretty much gave me the business. And then of course things adapt and change. Like we used to photograph regattas, like absolutely not, like just horses all the way.
Yeah.
So that's how it started and progressed more into a business. But I was 15 when I started.
Oh, wow.
Obviously not exactly profitable, but
So did you do anything after 15 years old? Did you keep just stick at the business or did you go and do other stuff?
I did other stuff. So I waited on in a pub for a few years, and I was still doing shoots like alongside that and college. I was going to say school, but no, not school, college. And then I went into Jessop's to buy a camera, and the guy was like, this is quite a high end camera. Like, you hopefully have an idea of what you're doing. And I was like, yeah, I do it for a job. So then I was at uni. So then I was doing Jessop's, the pub, and work, and like the events business was really taking off at this time. This was around 2015, I think. And so then I dropped the pub, and then eventually I think I worked just 2 or 3 years, which was good because I got really good staff discount, but then I just spent all my wages on kit. And it was very like you had to have the confidence to sell, and like they would just eat like little girl and be like, oh, like she obviously doesn't know what she's doing. Yeah, I was the only one currently working in the industry plus the shop.
Wow.
But I just didn't have the confidence, and I'm not really big into my tech. I'm into the result, and like heavily into the result. So yeah, I did that, and then eventually I had to drop the shop because the business was going so well that with the horses, uni, the horses were on livery yard then still as well, and I commuted to uni, so it was just all a bit much, which is an amazing problem to have.
Yeah.
But uni was good because it meant my parents weren't like, oh my god, you need to go and get a job, blah blah blah. I was like, I'm doing uni and the business is already like really picking up, but more on the event side of things, I would say, because I was basically given this business. I was like, oh my god, like this is so much work, and obviously you're learning, so you're obviously slower. And we used to print on site then as well. We bought a little horse box so we could print on site. So mum did that, bless her, for me.
And what age did you go to uni at 18?
No, so I did college, and of course there's all the UCAS, and everyone's like, what uni are you going to go to? And I was like, I don't want to go to uni. It's not for me. Like, I love my horses. I love home. And then I decided to go to Manchester. I was with a boy and he'd gone to Manchester the previous year because he was a bit older than me. So I went against my gut, which big no. And I ended up going to Manchester for one night, took all my stuff, and then the
Right.
next morning I took all my stuff back. It was not good. It was not good. It was just no, not it. I think it was a very good thing to have done. It's a good part of my story. Like it's really made me realise. And when I went looking around the unis, like Manchester was lovely, but it just didn't sit right. But Wolverhampton, it wasn't glamorous or anything, but it felt right. So then I was very poorly because it was like a big, I'd been with this, he was my first proper boyfriend, I'd been with him for 3 years and I felt like I'd failed. So I got very depressed and I was very poorly. And mum forced me to go to art college to do an art foundation for a year. It was, I was in a very rocky state, but it was the best thing we possibly could have done. I ended up actually not doing photography until they found out that I was doing, have you heard of a 52-week project?
No.
Basically, I think it was like a Facebook group, but basically it's every week is a different prompt. So like one was yellow. So then I did some conceptual photography of me looking like Dorothy with Yellow Brick Road, that kind of thing. And I was just creating for me. And I was doing sewing at college. And then they somehow found out about the photos and they were like, what the hell? Why are you doing this? And I was like, because I don't want to be judged on it. I just want to do it for me. Because college was quite tricky. I only got a C in photography. And like it was
I only
very
got to
much
see
like
it at A level as well, so it just shows, doesn't
I
it?
don't know if it was the same for you, but basically, if you couldn't write about why you'd done it, you failed.
Yeah, it was a
Okay.
lot more tricky than just being able to. I'm very much like you. I like the result rather than all of the bits that go
I
with
think
it.
that's why we get on. Like, I just get that vibe
Yeah,
that we just are similar and that
yeah.
kind of thing. So they actually ended up making my photo the poster for the advertisement for the art show, which was very cool.
Wow.
Uh, but yeah, and then eventually I went to Wolverhampton and commuted, which was a bit of a waste of time, if I'm honest. But it kept parents off my back, and I've got a degree. If anyone wants to ask if I have a degree, I do. But
And what was your degree in?
illustration, which I
Oh,
didn't do
okay.
any drawing. I did like photos with photography in it. I possibly should have done graphic design, but I thought it was going to be too computery. Yeah, and then I did try and change to photography on the first day, and the guy was an absolute arse. I was like, no, thank you. Then moving on.
I did graphic design and I was terrible at it and it was very computery and I was awful at it because I just wanted to draw everything. So you didn't miss out at
Yeah,
all.
I remember listening to your story the other day, and I was like, "Oh my god, I can just relate." It
Yeah.
was better. I think if I had done photography, it would have probably changed the trajectory of everything because I was just sick of being judged on why I'd taken it, what settings, blah blah blah. But equally, it was just yeah, 3 years is a long time, and it's a lot of debt for what?
Yeah, I know. But then sometimes you think, like, at the time, I needed like something to refocus myself on. I always think that about like my university experience and my teaching. It's like at the time, you need something. Yeah, that all sounds so interesting. So, when was it that you actually decided that you were going to branch from the events into your own business? How did that come about?
So the events already was my own business. So I
Yeah.
did start when I was 15.
Was that called Martha Lily Photography? Was that like,
Yeah, the
oh, okay.
events, Martha Lee events only got changed around COVID, I think, because I was very much seen as an event photographer. And don't get me wrong, I love the events, but the portraits have always been my like heart thing, like
Yeah.
my passion. I have horses myself. I know the hardship of having them, and I know that there's so many of those quiet moments that we have that we just don't get to see back otherwise, and I that is my main passion, so I've always done it. And then the events took over in 2015 for maybe a year or two. I was still of course doing shoots at the same time, but just not as much. Didn't think I would have had the brain space or like the actual time to have done it. I was pretty much setting a business up from scratch. Like I was playing at it before 2015 really, and mum had to pretty much teach herself Lightroom and stuff because I was like, I just can't teach you. Like, I don't understand how you don't know how to crop a photo. Like, I just can't. So I gave her some tips and sent her off in the camper van. She went away and just learned all of the shortcuts and everything. And I think the events made me a better photographer because I had to get it so right in camera so that mum didn't have to mess it up in editing. And then I created like a preset so that she didn't really have to tweak them too much, because that was a real big learning for me, letting go of like the editing side of things.
Yeah.
Same with having to have freelancers when I have a bigger events, like having other people shoot for me, trying to be a teacher and not sound like a bitch, basically. You just be like, I want it done this way, and this is why, and I want to be like a nice boss and like that kind of thing. And then yeah, the shoots just carried on from there. And then yeah, it wasn't until COVID that I split the businesses. I think I had a mentoring session with someone, and she was like, it looks like you just do events. And I was like, you're so right. I never thought about that. But it's all under the same umbrella.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And was there something that you learned when you were much younger that's fed into your business now? Was there like a big like sort of lesson that you learned, or a couple of lessons that you learned when you were younger that's changed your business now? That's
I've
quite a
gone
big question.
completely blank on that one. Have you got any ideas of what you think? What about you? Give me some inspiration.
I suppose my biggest one when I first started was feeling the need to work for free or to work for
Oh
cheap.
yeah. Yeah, and all the hours. And I very much thought that when I was like, I think I was 60 or I was £100, and then I went up to 120, or no, it was 120 to 160. £40 difference. Massively under minimum wage. But my shoots were only like 40 minutes. I thought to go from that price to that price, I had to have suddenly worked with an Olympic rider, or have done this or done that or done the other. Your price is your experience and your expertise and the time you take with people. Of course, you need to try and work out your hourly rate and stuff, but you don't also have to justify it like that is my price. I can do this in X amount of hours because I've learned all of this over the last few years or whatever. But yeah, working for free as well, like it's still a big learning. And I think, I don't know about artists, but for photographers, it's very much like up and coming people. They think that the best way to do it is to undercut others. And also, it is experience based. So, of course, you are going to be cheaper or free, but we can't compete with free. No one can compete with free. Like, it's tricky. But equally, in the same breath, going to contradict myself a little bit. The people that are paying £100 and the people that are paying 1,000 are very different clients.
Definitely.
Yeah, we love a
Yeah.
contradiction.
No, it's hard. And I think like you are right. Like when I charge my prices, I have to remind myself that I'm not charging per hour anymore. I'm charging all my experience and charging based on my ability now, that what I can create based on what I could have created back then. So it is really
Exactly.
difficult, isn't it? That whole pricing thing.
And we are it. And although you can try and not be offended if people, I don't get this so much now. I make it very clear on my prices. I don't want to waste anyone's time about having an inquiry call. I said I start from this. I don't get this very often, but I know that people have had it in the past. Is if someone tells us we're expensive, who do they think created that price?
Yeah.
And who is creating the work? Like, we are it. And I think, yeah, that's an interesting one.
How do you balance your business? You're the only person. I know you sometimes get people to come in with you, but really you're just like a one person, aren't you? Band. How do you juggle having all the responsibility in your business? How do you juggle it all?
Does anyone juggle it all?
Somehow we do. I don't
I
know.
realize, yeah, there's a lot of hats that we have to wear. And I think sometimes you might be in a more creative headspace, and then other days you might be in a more admin headspace. I have definitely worked out that I'm better in the morning, hence saying, can we do this at 11 a.m.? 2 p.m., I'm useless. I just need to just do nothing for a little bit. And obviously, there are days where you can just like smash through it. Hyper focus is my best friend when it's there. But yeah, and I don't know if we've ever really feel like we've got it figured out. Like I mentioned with the events, like sometimes I might be doing more events and other times I might be doing more shoots. Like sometimes I might feel like I'm in control of my goals and my marketing schedules, like I've nailed that and I'm getting loads of inquiries. And then 2 months later, I might feel like, oh, I'm shooting loads, but I haven't done any marketing. So I think that might be part of being creative. I'm very like woo and whimsical, and I just go, oh, this will work here, and I'm feeling this at the moment, so I'm doing this. But sometimes I do have to give my head a wobble and be like, because you're shooting loads now, you need to remember to market now, because otherwise you're not going to have any in 6 months or whatever, because you've not done any marketing. But equally, I sometimes feel, again, this is a bit woo, I feel like you sometimes won't get inquiries if you're not mentally got the space to take on those calls. So whenever I have an inquiry, we have a phone call because I want to make sure that we're right for each other. So if I'm constantly shooting and I'm really busy, there's no point in me advertising for shoots because I don't have the capacity to do it. So I need to, that might be a goal for me actually this year, to make sure that I'm allowing the space in the week to do that, because otherwise you're going to have a very quiet month or something.
Yeah, that's so interesting. You're so similar to me. Like sometimes I'm in like creative head, sometimes I'm in admin ed, and sometimes I have to say I'm not doing any work this week. I'm just gonna, or I'm not gonna do any drawing this week. I'm just gonna do the marketing thing. And I try and plan a month in advance, but then I get distracted and I don't quite make a month, and then I'm always a bit back on myself. So I'm glad it's not just me that it feels like juggling is just constantly like feeling like this.
I don't think we ever feel like we've got it right. And I think people feel like that in life as well. And obviously, I'm not a mother yet, but I know you are. And I feel like mum was always like, oh God, I just don't know how people do it. And it's like, everyone is just trying their best. And I think that's the best thing that you can do, is go with your energy. And you've got to look after yourself to be able to do any of this. So I've burnt myself out more times than I can count. And then when I'm feeling quite chilled at the moment, I'm like, maybe you're not working hard enough. Why aren't you burning yourself out? Like, it's a whole thing.
What
But
do you
yeah, we love
do?
it.
What do you do to, if you're feeling like you're getting to the burnt out stage, what's your way of getting yourself out of that? What do you do to relax?
I do try and move things around. Obviously, I wouldn't move clients, but if the weather was bad, I would obviously say, look, let's move it to next week. And then that would give me a real, obviously, I wouldn't move it if the weather wasn't bad. I would just make sure that I have like alone time, just when it's quiet, maybe a little nap. But equally, then you can get into a slump and do that too much. You've got, I think it's very much when you're burning yourself out, the things that we drop are exercise. Obviously, horses are right is exercise, but it's more like for your mental well-being as well. And then again, normal exercises. I think you have to remember to do, not get rid of those things, even though it can feel like, oh, that's not essential. Just taking time for yourself in any space. It sounds silly, but just sitting in the bath with Netflix or a book with a hair mask on, so you feel like you're nourishing yourself a little bit more. And it does sound cliche, but it's whatever works for you. And that's something that works for me. A good book, Airbnb with a hot tub, hell yeah. Just no distractions, just trying to get off my phone a bit as well. It's bad.
Yes.
Definitely.
And I think in our business, like the phone is just constantly on. And I have to remember, like when I pick my daughter up from nursery, I try and put it away for an hour and a half and just leave it downstairs. Because otherwise she's in the bath and I'm on my phone and I'm like, this is just not great.
We don't
But
realize we're doing it as well. Like I said to
no.
myself this morning, like I want to just drink my tea and either journal or read or something. And I accidentally realized that was like 4 reels in, and I'm like, oh my God, I've done it again. Don't even realize I'm doing. I'm charging my
Mm.
Kindle right now. I've bought a book. I know that's another electric thing, but it just, I'm feeling a bit in a slump again at the moment. And I think I just need to start doing stuff that's not scrolling.
Yeah.
I think it would be interesting to chat about content scheduling. This is something I'm definitely battling with at the moment. Do you find that you're in a different space by the time your scheduled post comes around?
When I say I content plan for the month, I tend to just write down ideas. It's not actually created because I normally look at really trending things. So trying to plan like a month in advance doesn't often work.
That's a
So
really good point.
yeah, so I basically try and plan out actual ideas and hooks. Like written hooks is my biggest bugbear. Like I really find the written word much harder than anything else. So that's what
Me
I struggle with
too.
most. And I could spend like an hours and hours like trying to get an idea just for a one-liner. So that's what I try and plan. And then like I tend to just actually edit them like 1 or 2 days before. So I am normally in the headspace because of that sort of way of working.
That's such a good idea. And that is something I massively struggle with as well. I can't think of what I need, like the hooks and that kind of thing, of what my client is thinking about. I found that when I have shoots myself, that helps. And I try and write down loads of ideas because it puts me back in my client's shoes. I'm very visual shock of learning and getting ideas.
That's a good point, actually. Really thinking about the client and putting yourself in their shoes. And I've seen some people do some reels where they've basically put like a quote from somebody that they get in an email, like, "Can you draw my dog because he's white?" And they've used that as the hook. And then they've obviously shown the process. And I was like, that's such a good idea because when you're creating content, you have to be talking to one person. So, really talking to as if you're talking to your actual client. And it's nice that you use the clients when you see them face to face. I like that idea. I need to, because I don't ever really see my clients face to face. Maybe I just need to imagine that they're in front of me and or have start having calls. I think having calls is a great idea.
Video calls or phone calls. So I tend to have two calls with my client. I have the inquiry call, which is just a voice call. And then usually a week or 2 weeks before the shoot, we have a video call, just discussing anything that they might want to, and then just reiterating basically what we already went through. You want to make people feel looked after, and they are spending a decent amount of money, and you want it to be right. You want you both to feel happy, and most of the time it is very similar. It's all similar questions and worries and that kind of thing, and it's just making people feel reassured that you are an expert.
Yeah. And I recently had a situation where a client wanted a nosy pony style, but for the dog, and they wanted the dog's nose like in the forefront of the camera. And they sent me a great reference photo. And as we were doing it, they kept asking for changes like, oh, can we have the ears a bit more forward? And can we have more fluff on top? And I had to, in the end, I was trying to make these changes without making it look strange. Because if a dog's nose is in the camera, their ears are like pinned back slightly because of gravity, and there's not as much head shown. And I don't think they understood that you can't have that pose with like your ears pinned forward. And in the end, I
Yeah,
completely I redid the drawing, and it made me realize that I think I need to have those conversations before I get started and be like, if you want this is going to be the outcome, rather than trying to explain it as I'm going along.
it's laying down your boundaries as well, and like we've just said, like making people realize that you're the expert, and people buy what they see. So you maybe did you not have those done before? You didn't, did you? The dog one.
As in, oh,
Have
as in
you
examples.
yeah,
No, I hadn't. No.
exactly. So that's not like anyone's fault. Like it like now the nosy pony, like people know what to expect to a point.
Yeah.
But yeah, that must be really tricky actually. And I think that's the other thing is if you give people too much control, like mum has it very much with her. She's a celebrant, and like when you let people in too much with wanting to create the script, they're paying you to do your thing. Once they make too many changes, it's not yours anymore. And the same as shoots, and especially with like brand shoots and things as well. Like I only do a very set specific sort of brand that will allow me to create in my style. If you want it done XYZ, go to someone that will either alter their style for you to do that, or already that is their style. I think as I'm more of a creative portrait photographer, that is a boundary that I'm still learning with as well, because you might think that they understand and then they're like, oh, can you do this and this and this? I don't really feel comfortable with that because that's not how I work.
Such a good takeaway because it's like setting yourself up as the expert in your particular style and niche because no one can be everything. And
No,
I love that you set your boundaries, and that's definitely something that I need to work on. And hopefully someone listening to this might think, oh, maybe they've had clients that have been a little bit difficult, and it's because they're not necessarily being difficult because they're a difficult person. They're being difficult because they don't understand where the limitations are. Oh,
some people need more looking after than others. Some people will just completely trust you, and other people need to be explained to. And people buy for different reasons. So some people may follow us for 3 years, some people may follow us for 3 weeks. It's very different, and they will buy for different reasons. And I think that comes into it a lot for sure.
definitely. So you're obviously now self-employed completely. You have been for a long time. Do you feel like what's like the sort of biggest misunderstanding that people might have if they're like in full-time employment and they want to go self-employed? What do you think that sort of biggest misunderstanding might be?
It's easier. It is and it isn't. Me and my friends have started doing co-working basically on FaceTime effectively. One of the girls is a teacher and she's off for 2 weeks for Easter and she's done co-working with us and she's like, oh my God, this is easy. This is lovely. And it is. because you can just go and sit in the sun for an hour, but equally you're then not making money for that hour, like effectively. And I shared a really good post last night about how you have to lead yourself. You can't just get up whenever you want. Like the buck stops with you. I'm still in a very privileged position where I live at home. It's hard because there's no one to blame. There's no one else to blame. It is all on you. And I think people think that it is easier. You don't stop thinking about stuff. You go to bed and you're like, oh, have I done this? Have I done that? I need to do that. The amount of lists I create, still saying that I don't think I could do 9 to 5. And I think some people it's maybe more suited to than others. Some people prefer having it compartmentalized. Then again, you still bring work home from a 9 to 5. So there's pros and cons to both. But I personally, I do not like being told what to do.
No, I was exactly the same. That's why I struggle so much being a teacher, because even though you have like autonomy in your actual class, you are still constantly being told what's right, what's wrong. You did that wrong, you did that right. It's just, it's too much. And I'm at the moment, like, obviously being self-employed, you have like great months, you have bad months. I'm currently in a bad month. And I had a bit of a reminder as to why I'm still doing it, even though I do get really stressed about money. I went on a hen do last week, and everybody in the group chat, when they went to work on Monday, they were like, oh my God, this is horrendous. Oh, I've got such blues. And I was like, I feel great. I'm like
Yeah.
excited to go back to work. And I was like, that just proves to me that's why I should carry on doing it, because nothing can beat that feeling of not having the Monday go back to work blues.
No, Sunday scaries they call it as well, don't they? Because
Yeah.
Sunday night you feel scared to go back to your work. And I absolutely, I don't have it. And I feel like an absolute fraud. Like I feel like one day someone's gonna work out that I'm not actually very good at what I do and all this. And it's like, no, you are it. How you run your business is you. And I think as long as you keep your clients at your forefront of your quality, like I don't think you can go wrong.
Mm. Do you sometimes find it difficult, even though it's nice being the lead and not having to ask anyone for like permission? Do you sometimes find it's difficult when you need to make decisions about something and not having anyone else to discuss it with?
Yeah, I've spent a lot on mentoring. I think something around like 12,000. Like I have spent a lot on it. And at the moment I am feeling a little bit like I could do with someone currently. I think it helps to have friends and things to bounce things off. My poor mother gets me going, what do you think of this? And what do you think of that? And she's no more experienced. I think sometimes talking out loud can help you make a
Yeah.
decision. But ultimately, I think we do know what is right for us. But I think it can be a lack of confidence in yourself quite
Yeah.
often.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree with the same. Asking your family for help, even though they don't really know what they're saying. It's like, that's why I do the podcast, because sometimes I will sit down and want to talk about something, and I'll talk myself into the right way of doing something just by speaking out loud to it. Because,
See how that would be so helpful for you. And if I had any more mental capacity, I think it would be a great thing to do. But I think it's amazing what you're doing. I don't think I would be able to think of subjects and that kind of thing.
it's been
But
hard.
it is like
Yeah.
a really good therapy. Yeah, I think there's just different ways of learning how you work things out. I wouldn't say I have too many instances where that is the case. It's just you want to give people your best. And I think sometimes there's just a bit of doubt in there sometimes where you're like, is this the right decision to make?
Yeah. And it's sometimes hard, like you see other people doing something and you think, I should try that because they've had loads of success by that. But not everyone's, even if you've got a photographer that you like, you see all the time, like what they do might not be right for you. And the same with me. And it's knowing like when to pivot your business and try something different, or just stick at something that you like. Like it is a constant like sort of battle, isn't it, between like creative ideas, but also knowing what's going to work for you.
There's a thing called shiny object syndrome as well. It's a bit like if we were a magpie, we see things and think, oh my God, I need to do that. I need to start that. I need to invest in that. And really, I like the phrase of do one thing and do one thing well,
Mm.
which I think you're almost doing really, you've dropped your homewares, haven't you? So you're really going in, these are my commissions. And I'm the same with my shoots. That will always be my hero. I'm currently like wanting to start mentoring with business and that kind of thing. But I keep going back to I'd rather just put all my eggs into one basket with the shoots. But then equally, you're being told like you need to do passive income, and I do really want to help people as well, and I'm feeling a bit torn about spreading myself too thinly. Like I really want to give my portrait clients my best, and I want to give my mentoring the best.
Yeah, it's so hard. The reason that I dropped my homewares is because it was just getting too much, like having stock at home and having packaging. But my mum loves them and she was like, you should bring them back. And I'm like, I would love to because I love doing it, but at the same time, I can't put my all into everything. And doing the creative CEO, I want that to be like more of my passive thing that I can do when I next have a baby. Like I'm already thinking about like my next maternity leave where I won't have the physical capacity to like work with clients. But yeah, you are absolutely right. Like I think especially when someone's starting out, you should be known for one thing before you branch out. And you've done that like perfectly. And I think you would be a great business mentor to other photographers. Do it when you feel when it's right for you. Because
Yeah,
you
I
are right.
am always doing it. I'm not pushing it, and I'm not putting my all into it. I think going back to what you were saying before as well about decisions about seeing what other people are doing, I very much have blocked that out now. So I've muted or unfollowed a lot. And it's nothing personal, but I think sometimes subconsciously you could end up copying someone. Not that stuff isn't original, like nothing's original, let's be honest. I think just staying in your own lane is so important. I still follow photographers from like other sectors, that kind of thing, because I think it's good to get inspiration from other places and like Vogue and that kind of thing. But for me personally, it wasn't helping me. And I love seeing other people do well. Of course I do. Like occasionally I dip in and engage with people, but you're not always in a space where you're scrolling where you want to see someone absolutely stunning work and maybe you're having a bad day. It wasn't a good thing for me. And I think a lot of people are in that situation. So like you should make your social like a nice place to be and just focus on your own business.
That's
I think
such good advice because I've done the same. I've seen someone like have a really good reel, do well or something, and they're maybe not even an animal artist like me. And I hate myself for feeling a bit like, oh, like I get that kind of, why is that not happening for me? That kind of feeling.
yeah,
And you are right. Like I love seeing people do well, but it's really hard to stop yourself from like, having those doubts about yourself because of somebody else's success. So like just muting.
comparison as well.
Yeah.
Comparison
Yeah.
is the thief of joy.
Yes,
There
it
we go.
is. It is. I'm not I haven't got out of that hedge and I keep telling people to do it and I'm like I don't do it myself. I'm such a hypocrite. It's so hard to stop comparing yourself. But I think you are right. Unfollowing people or just muting them for a bit if you're feeling in a low point, I think is such a good thing to do because it doesn't mean that you don't want them to have success. It just means you're making their success your failure and we shouldn't be doing that. But I think it's just something that we easily fall into, especially when you're on your own all the time. And like you say, like when you're constantly scrolling and it's hard to pull yourself away from that scroll and remember where you've got to, like your own success is your success. Yeah, that's
That's
a good,
such a good phrase. I've not heard that. Their success is your failure. And it's not at all, is it? And I think that's the other thing is there's enough work for everyone.
yeah.
And I think when we were talking briefly before about boundaries and knowing what is our thing, that's what makes us different. You're never going to be the same as someone else. And I think that's something that's really been a game changer for me. There are so many talented other creatives out there, but we're all ourselves, we're all a different person. It's not just about the final outcome, it's the process of getting there, that they have to like you to spend time with you. This is a big deal.
I think people forget that there are like billions of people on the planet and you only really need how many commissions do I do a year? Let's say I do 2 a month. So I only need 24 people out of billions and billions to
Exactly.
make my
Like we
business
wouldn't
work.
be able to work with all of these people. We would be in a coffin.
It's so true. Yeah, there's definitely space for everybody. You as an individual, you are what makes your business unique. So I think I probably know the answer to this, but what does a typical day look like for you? Or is there no such thing as a typical day?
I hate routine, but I think I crave it. So I try not to make things the same because it will make me depressed. Not literally, but like it will make me quite low because I think that's part of the reason I wouldn't be able to work a 9 to 5 is like a couple of times I've been driving somewhere and I've seen this kid at the bus stop waiting for the bus and I'm like, I've seen him twice or something in the same week, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm just living in the same thing. I need variety in my life. I know that sounds so silly, but one day I ride and twice a week I go to PT. I like things to be changed up in the week. I shoot all over the world, mainly the UK. So no, there is obviously micro routines within things, but I work when I have the mental space for it. I try and plan the night before or the days before. I'll make a list and then different things will get moved throughout the week. So it's very nice to not have a specific routine, but admin, that kind of thing tends to be as early as possible. And then other tasks, maybe like event orders and that thing could be made in the afternoon because it doesn't take as much brain space. I love a morning.
Same. I wish I could have my morning energy throughout the day. Like I would get
Me
so much more
too.
done. Can I just quickly ask you about the National Equine Show because you won an award for the best stand, didn't you? Can you talk to
Yes,
me
crazy.
about your style, how you've created a unique style for those sorts of events, and then how it felt winning that award?
How it felt was absolutely insane. I didn't get my camera out or anything like my phone to film at the awards. I was tired and a bit like, oh, like we didn't win last year and we were really proud of it last year, even though it was much smaller. And the stand very much wasn't perfect in my eyes. I forgot a box which had loads of clips that would have been able to attach more fabric to the walls. And then the rug that we have in the middle, so my stand's a bit like a living room. It pretty much is everything from our house. In fact, my dad kicked off when I was like, when I won the award, I was like, it's all worth it now. So the rug didn't quite fit in the stand, like, because we were much bigger this year. But it was fine. It was done as better than perfect. And then we went and won. I couldn't believe it. Someone behind us said, oh, is that the one that looks like a living room? Mum was like, it is my living room. It pretty much is. So that was amazing. And I don't really win awards. I think, yeah, we could get into a very interesting subject about the whole award situation because like you have to pay to win a lot of awards at the end of the
Yeah.
day, and like yeah, but that was amazing. Obviously, I paid for my SAM, but I didn't pay to enter the award, so that was very cool. And I think it proves that done is better than perfect. Someone said to me recently, it's better to do 80% your best rather than perfectionism can hold us back quite a lot, and that can be why I don't post online sometimes because I'm like, oh no, it's not perfect. Like the client will be so happy with it, but I will just pick it apart. So in terms of my stand, I just wanted it to feel welcoming. And where do you see your images? In a living room usually, and I wanted it was nice that we had two open sides. We had two chairs, so if people wanted to come and sit and chat, we didn't in the end really, but it was nice for me and mum to sit down while we waited for people to come and say hello. So that was really nice, and it just felt cozy and in the kind of setting that you would have it, all natural kind of colors. I do feel like I want to bring a different kind of vibe in the future, maybe a little bit more daring. I don't know, it depends because it is a lot of work to try and make things work and you don't always know how it's going to look in the setting. I don't know, but I want to bring like as much of my personality into it. And I think, yeah, just making it cozy. Cozy is a big part of my personality. Beige is a big part of my personality. I get the amount of my clients to wear cream or beige because it just looks nice.
Yeah, I love beige.
So that was it really, and like just nice rusticy kind of furniture, cozy. You want to make people feel comfortable and at home.
I remember seeing your stand when everyone was setting up, and I looked at it and I was like, wow, like that just looks. Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head. It was cozy. It was inviting. Like it was. I think the open sides just made such a nice.
It does make a big difference. Yeah. That was an adjustment though, because then you've lost a wall to hang frames on. So that was like, oh God, where are we going to put everything?
Yeah.
But it was good. But yeah, it's funny, isn't it? I literally could just pick it apart. I haven't edited my National Equine Show vlogs yet because I don't know how you do this because I am always putting my clients' work first, and then also I rewatch my vlogs and I'm like, oh my God, Martha, no one cares.
I know you have to get out of that headspace though, because I've realized that even when you just got, I think I've got 10 subscribers on my YouTube channel. I'm like, I don't care. That's 10 people.
Yeah.
I'll keep adding like videos on. I'm like you though. I always prioritize clients, but like I have a mounting video that I shot back in February and I still haven't put it up. And I'm like, it would get so many views, I'm sure, because people love to know how to mount their portraits. So yeah, but it's hard to prioritize your own stuff.
It is.
Even though it is maybe not as equally as important, but I think it is important to keep things ticking over online because eventually like it will help in the long run. So just a few finishing off questions. If somebody, obviously you do your mentoring anyway, but if somebody came to you as a young budding photographer wanting to start out, do you have a piece of advice that you would give them?
I do get this question quite a lot, and I did have quite a lot of people come up to me National Equine Show. One of them at which I did a mentoring session with them this week, which was really nice.
Oh, nice.
My main advice is get out and shoot. Just shoot, 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 because that is how you will learn. Obviously, question why something looks good, why you think that worked, how could you have improved it, but doing is the biggest way you will learn. Is my advice. And also remember that a part of the job, like shooting, is such a tiny part of the job. It is. Oh, there's just so much admin and other things. So when I do a shoot, I'm like, this is so nice.
Yeah.
Just be aware of that. You're not going to, everyone's business is different, but for me, shooting is a part of the job, not the whole job.
Yeah, no, I love it. I want to start like a tradition when I do interviews, and I was trying to think of a question that hasn't been done on other podcasts. So just bear with me whilst I structure the sentence because it was in my head and I forgot to write it down. If you could have any other business in any other niche, not photography,
Ooh.
something else, and you could just start that tomorrow or today, what would that be? I'll give you mine as an example to whilst you're
Yeah.
thinking. One of mine is, and this is, it doesn't have to be one that's just come straight out of your head. It could be like somebody else's business that you think that would have been a really good idea. But I saw somebody gets teddy bears that have been thrown away into charity shops, or maybe not charity shops, like they were going to go to the tip, and they basically restore them, and then they put them in fresh new boxes. They're all like clean, and they give them a little story about where they came from, and they sell them on. And I can't remember the company's name off the top of my head because it just popped up on my Instagram. But I was like, what a lovely, heartwarming business that would be. To it's helping the environment, but it's also there's so many children out there without toys, and I thought, what a beautiful business that could be. So that's one of
So
mine.
lovely. I think this one is, I've got two. This one is like a dream, but equally, I hate painting and doing manual labor. So maybe this isn't for me, but maybe more a managerial role would be like flipping property. I'd love
Oh,
to do that,
yeah.
but you'd need a lot of money behind you. And then we went to Aintree the day for the Grand National, and I made my own headdress, and I really enjoyed that. So maybe that, again, creatively, yeah, or just being a coach, like just doing the mentoring, just doing business coaching. But again, it links to this still. I love business. I find it fascinating, and I love stories of how people started and why they do it. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah, I've got so many business ideas. I think of them all the time, and I have to.
Yeah.
That's not my space, so I can't do it. There was one. I think I might edit this out of the podcast because it's a bit intimate. But after I'd had my daughter, my belly was obviously still like quite big, but I had a C-section scar, and I found that I couldn't find any underwear that sat on my belly that didn't roll down and hit my C-section scar. And that
Ooh,
was so
yeah.
uncomfortable. And I was like, I just want something that's a little bit feminine, that's not like granny pants. But the only things that I could wear were granny pants. And I was like, I was like, it's very niche, but I was like, somebody needs to make some
Yeah,
underwear that sits like really high up,
literally.
but is still like nice and feminine and
That's
makes
such a
women
good
that have just
idea.
had a baby feel nice about themselves. So
Yeah.
maybe I will keep that in. I'm not sure.
I saw a reel actually being like, after your pregnancy, what is something that you kept? And it was the granny pants.
Oh
People were
yeah.
like, they're just so comfy.
Oh, they are so comfy, but I've had to let go because I'm like, I'm sure they'll have to come out again after I've next had a baby. Yeah,
Your
someone
spare
needs to
time.
do it. So if you're listening and you like that business idea, please do it because I will buy some. Because when women have had a baby, they just want to feel nice, but sometimes the underwear for sale just
Exactly.
doesn't suit a postpartum body, especially one with a C-section scar, because that
Yeah,
was
you want
me
to be in your feminine energy. You've just got a
too.
baby. You want to have nice underwear.
Absolutely. So please, somebody make some for me.
Thanks in advance.
Yeah, and then finally, if people want to contact you and whether they want a shoot or they want a mentoring, how can they get in contact with you?
My email is info@marthalilyphotography.co.uk, or my website is marthalilyphotography.co.uk. I'm on Instagram way too much for my anyone's liking, and that is Martha Lily Photog.
Lovely. And your Instagram is lovely. Like you have such beautiful photos. So
Oh, thank you.
go and have a look. So thank you so much for talking to me. And I hope I was a good interviewer.
Yeah, you were. This has been like a therapy session. It's been great.
Yeah, same for me. I feel much lighter and I'm so glad that we can relate to each other and like we have the same problems. Like it's good like when you chat and you're like, I'm not alone in this. Everyone's got similar problems. So
I think that's the biggest thing of being self-employed. It can feel very lonely. And I think if wherever you can find a safe community
mm,
in something like this, or like I've said, me and my friends have started co-working, like whatever you can do to make it fun. Because we spend a lot
absolutely.
of our time working. I know that we love our jobs, but there are still days where you think, oh my God, I just can't today.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, thank you very much for having me. It's been very
No.
good.
Thank you and enjoy the rest of your day. I will speak
And
to
you.
you. I'm sure we'll be voice noting later.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Thanks, Martha.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye.